Mario Kart World is a dream game that I didn't even realize was a dream game until it became a reality. So, I like Mario Kart, just in case you weren't yet aware. And even if I haven't played many open world games, I actually enjoy them quite a bit. I think it's because they especially play into my favorite qualities of a game. That being, you know, the immersion, the freedom of choice, and the escapism. For a moment you can forget about the scary black mold forming in the corner of your room. I should probably do something about that. Tomorrow, maybe. But it had never crossed my mind to combine these two things I really like into an open world Mario Kart game. I think it felt too far out of the realm of possibility to me, but once it was revealed in that Switch 2 Direct that this is exactly what form the next big game will take, like, I was already gonna get it, but now it felt like I needed to get this game. It felt like it was made for me specifically. Shiggy knows who I am. But I can't lie, the Mario Kart World Direct made me feel a little bit concerned. Like, having missions returned was an absolute delight to see, but that was kind of all they showed. It was sort of on me. I had my expectations pretty high, but it did plant a seed of doubt in the back of my head if it was actually going to hold up to all my hopes. Eventually, I was able to experience it firsthand. I did a few Grand Prix Cups and knockout tours, but obviously, it was the free roam mode that I was anticipating the most. And it only took like 15 minutes for me to realize that this is literally all I ever needed. Exploring in the free roam mode of Mario Kart World is honestly one of the most joyful experiences I've ever had in any video game, and it only got better the more and more I experienced from it. Ironically, the open world aspect is one of the game's most controversial elements, and we'll get into what specifically makes it controversial, but if you're asking why I vibe with the world of Mario Kart World so much, then you've come to the right place. I guess we should start by talking about the world map itself. This is easily one of my favorite video game worlds. I already had a soft spot for Mario settings, but this is a very unique take on it. What if the Mushroom Kingdom was post-industrial revolution? The world revolves around cars, highways, and general transportation. A more urban and domesticated take on the Mushroom Kingdom. I think this blend of the modern real world and the fantasy Mario world that makes it really appealing to me. It's also satisfying to have a world and Mario feel this whole, especially when they hit the reset button on world building every game. I like the theory that this isn't the Mushroom Kingdom, but could be a whole other island themed after the Mushroom Kingdom where they do races. Like, the Mario circuits in this game could have been the same Mario circuits from the first Mario Kart, and ever since they've been expanding their racing matches throughout the continent. It would also explain why there's a bunch of other Super Mario Kart courses here. They're kind of like historical landmarks. Bit of a tangent, but it goes to show how strong the speculative world building is here. I also think this map feels really organic from a geographical standpoint. You got the west having a drier climate with the deserts, the east is more mountainous with Starview Peak and Dandelion Depths, and all the tropical settings are lined up along the shores. I can tell a lot of thought was put into making this world feel organic, and it really sells the immersion element open world games should have. I end up having this road trip mentality where I pay a visit to one of the courses, see what it has to offer, and then hit the road and find my way to wherever it takes me. There's also entire train routes that go around the whole world, and one of the first things I did was I got on a train to see where it took me, and I think it was here when I realized that this game was truly special. I knew this game was going to eat up all my free time this summer, and it did. You'll fall in love with this world the more you notice the little things. NPCs get picked up and dropped off at bus stations and train stations. It makes the world feel more lively seeing everyone go through their daily commutes. There'll also be the occasional item box and coin rain. You'll spot a UFO in the distance and freak the fuck out, and then you track it down and find out you can control it, and then you freak the fuck out even more. Sometimes I find myself just hanging out and taking in the scenery, whether it be this great view of the world up high for a banger wallpaper, or to chill out in the more cozy spots like the observatory and Starview Peak. But of course there's more to do here than just hang out. That's where the P-switch missions come in. Pressing one generates an obstacle course for you to complete, and there's almost 400 of them spread throughout the map. These challenges are mostly short and simple, but that's honestly never bothered me. I don't think they're supposed to be bigger than what they actually are, being quick distractions between roaming the map that allow you to flex your skills. Now yeah, practically all of these missions can be boiled down to either going through rings or collecting blue coins, but it's how they stage them that makes them feel unique from one another. This one mission has you go through rings, but as these dinosaurs take over Crown City. This one on Boo Cinema also has you go through rings, but as a bunch of animals come running out of the screen, it's so goddamn chaotic. There's also weaving through the most dangerous traffic ever. It's really easy, but also really funny. There's also... Oh fuck. The fact that these are all smaller scale and last a short time creates this addicting cycle of finding a P-switch, passing a quick obstacle course, then it drops you off somewhere else to find another P-switch. It's very similar to how the shrines function in modern Zelda, being these short exercises in between walking around the map, so you don't get put into an autopilot state of wandering the map for too long. In fact, I'd say it functions even better here due to their much shorter length, supporting Mario Kart's faster pacing. You also have some collectibles in the form of question block panels and Peach medallions that have you dig a bit deeper into the race courses or reach some especially tricky spots. What do you get for doing all this? stickers. What is this, a doctor's appointment? But jokes aside, I actually really don't mind. I think I just find the process of doing the mission or finding the collectible to be enough of an incentive. And I think giving out rewards this minor allows the player to actually enjoy their time in free roam instead of only going into it for the endgame. In other words, as cliche as it sounds, it's about the journey. So as I've said, the open world of this game is fairly criticized, and from what I've gathered from the loudest critics, they have me anywhere between humbly disagreeing to secondhand embarrassment. The most commonly criticized aspect of the open world is their role in racing modes like Grand Prix and Versus, specifically the connecting routes between courses. It's a really cool idea on paper to physically drive to the next race course, but their execution admittedly leaves a bit to be desired. These are meant to feel more natural to the world, but that comes at the cost of the complexity and more contained environments of the main courses. Unfortunately, that's just a compromise you need to make with open worlds. You need to have a lot of space to breathe. Now, some of these routes definitely aren't beating the straight line allegations, but I don't think it's fair to rule all of them out like that. In fact, I think some race courses benefit a lot from the route that leads up to them. Starview Peak and Boo Cinema are good examples. I don't think they're the strongest when you play them in isolation of 3 laps. They're a lot better when they're the final act of a bigger adventure, with Starview Peak having you race up the summit, and with Boo Cinema having you play parts of the Ghost Valleys beforehand. Bowser's Castle is already a great track, but it hits even harder when you enter Bowser's territory and ride up that volcano. I see the connecting routes as sort of appetizers for the main course, literally. A more vanilla environment that both eases the player into the more complicated tech that you can pull off in the race course, and allows the items to be a more primary contributor to the chaos. Overall, I think they're pretty neat, and I don't really mind their simplicity. It would have to depend on the example, but I think the hate is fair enough, I suppose. But when it comes to free roam, I think its detractors are simply looking at this mode from the wrong angle, because the most common criticisms I've heard are that there's not enough to do and there's no incentive to do anything. Now for that first one, of course it would be nice to have more, but honestly, I think what they gave us is plenty. A lot of the fun from free roam is something you have to create yourself. I think people are underestimating how much use you can get out of the world itself. They practically gave you this giant ass playground for you to drift, grind, and wall jump to your heart's desire. You know when your grandpa would be like, "Back in my day, we entertained ourselves with sticks and mud. We didn't need these newfangled devices." Yeah, I feel like grandpa with this discourse. These darn kids need the game to grab them by the balls to do shit. You see, I find my own healthy entertainment like stalking people and property damage. This is the emergency lane. In addition to the challenges that the game explicitly hands to me, I can also entertain myself by looking for the rawest photo spot, getting a kick out of these in-universe brands, or following this one person and wondering if he's okay. What I'm trying to say is that there's more activity to be had than what the game explicitly offers. I think this stems from the misconception that free roam is supposed to be a sort of campaign or adventure mode, when it's not meant to be in the first place. It's called free roam. The main idea is simply that you can roam freely. The P-switches and collectibles are merely here to provide at least something to do. They're not meant to frame this mode as a campaign or collectathon. Then we get to that second point that bugs me a bit more.
Sure, but I'm not really motivated to seek these out, especially because once again the reward is a sticker.
If you get such lousy rewards for completing tasks, then what's even the point of doing them? They're just fun to do. Look, I know it's a shame that I won't unlock Gangster Mario for completing this obstacle course, but I do it anyways because, well, I just want to.
The game is fun.
And so these missions and collectibles hold my interest simply from getting to experience more Mario Kart World. I get that not everyone is going to have the same intrinsic motivations like I do, and of course it would only be beneficial to have greater unlockables. I just don't like the notion that they're completely worthless because the game isn't dangling a carrot on a stick. Besides, what if there is a reward and it's just more subtle? What if simply reaching new heights and pulling off stunts you've never done before is a reward in itself? What if the reward in beating a particularly hard mission is the experience you gained with the new mechanics that you'll now be more confident in using in the races? I feel like rewarding you an experience rather than something more direct plays more into the subtle pleasures of a free play mode. And what if, despite the fact that there's all these collectibles, the main idea is actually not to collect everything? I know how crazy that sounds, like the black mold is starting to take over. So instead, I want to share a different perspective on free roam that I witnessed, which was actually the main reason why I wanted to make this video. So, sometime last month, one of my siblings asked if they could play free roam while I watched, and that's exactly what panned out, and the way I saw them play it was truly a sight to behold. While my mindset when initially playing this was to hunt down all these P-switches, they barely touched any of them. In fact, I don't think they had any goal at all while playing. They would grind on rails and jump across buildings purely for the sake of it. They would stop to read signs, examine certain buildings I didn't even know had names. I shit you not, they went to a Yoshi's and pretended to stop and eat there. Oh, that's cute, you might be saying. How old are they? 8, 10, 23. Older than I am. Goes to show that you can be this whimsical playing games no matter how old you are, and honestly, I salute them for that. They didn't need the game to tell them what they should do and why they should do it. They just did things simply because they felt like it, and they had a great time playing and I had a great time watching. I already loved free roam, but that experience helped me further understand why I love it. It's just really comfy. While they do provide a good amount of stuff to do, it doesn't center around filling up a checklist and receiving fancy trinkets. It's just about being there, taking it all in. Go wherever you want and do whatever you want. I'm confident that the developers wanted you to go into this mode with a chill mindset, because what better way to add to the chill with a little bit of tunes. The music of Mario Kart World is unreal. It's one thing to be a Mario Kart soundtrack, an album full of earworms both brand new and remastered, but to go the extra mile to create literal hundreds of music arrangements from not only the history of Mario Kart, but Mario as a whole, it makes even the passing periods of this game a pleasure to be in. But its main purpose is to provide a heavy, shuffled playlist to run in the background of free roam. Now yeah, its random nature may not always fit the environment. I was in Bowser's Castle and it was playing the Yoshi's Island opening, but it's meant to feel like you're listening to the radio during a road trip, where you just listen to whatever song is currently playing. Your listening experience is supposed to transcend whatever environment you're in, and it makes driving around even more of a vibe than it already was. Not to mention the music itself is such a treat to listen to. Hearing tracks like the Mario Land theme that barely got any official remixes is super satisfying, and it's surreal to hear some of my favorites rearranged in a different genre, like a more low-key Shroom Ridge or rock ballad of 3DS Rainbow Road. This is the soundtrack that's beyond even my wildest dreams. I didn't know you could top 8 Deluxe's soundtrack, but I guess this is how you do it. The jukebox nature of the background music further proves the idea that free roam is meant to be a very low-key, casual experience, along the lines of Animal Crossing, Tomodachi Life, or other comfy games. But hey, I get it. Comfy games aren't for everyone. Maybe you like playing something with a little more excitement. Well, that's where other people come into the equation. Oh! Who is this? What the fuck? What the heck? Oh no! So when you play online in a personal lobby, while you can just get into the races immediately, you guys could also just wander around the map, and with the right people, I'd argue it's more fun and chaotic than the actual racing modes. It takes that find your own fun mentality to the extreme now that other people are involved. You could pin the whole lobby against one person to chase them down manhunt style. You could terrorize people who are just trying to make friends. You could try to make friends with people trying to terrorize you. You could witness accidents. But the most wholesome part is taking group photos with the whole lobby. Half the fun is trying to get the whole squad to hard to reach places and that one guy keeps fumbling. Mario Kart has always been a social game, but it's always been from the simple fact that it's a multiplayer game. Here those social elements are stronger than ever, and it's all thanks to them giving you and your pals this giant sandbox to act like complete dumbasses. And again, there is literally zero incentive the game gives you to do any of this, but we did it simply because we felt like it. And it's genuinely some of the most fun multiplayer experiences I've ever had in gaming. I think at this point you get what I'm trying to say. It might be disappointing that the game doesn't incentivize you enough to explore its world, I do get it, but personally, I think that's the best part. There's no pressure to go anywhere or get anything done. Everything I do is on my own volition. It's such a fascinating feeling to have in a game as exhilarating and as fast-paced as Mario Kart, and it's by far where I've spent most of my time in this game. While the competitive scene is dooming about patch notes, I'm asking the real questions like, how does Muncher coffee taste? I do, however, want to give some of my own critiques. For one, even though I don't see this as mainly a collectathon, they should still account for the completionists, because there's hardly an indication of your progress outside of the block panels, so they should make a list of missions or some way that makes it easier to keep tabs of your records, like Mario Odyssey. I also would have liked it if they gave names to the areas between the courses, similar to Breath of the Wild. For example, they could have named this area like Fishbone Lake or something like that, and make the world feel even more fleshed out. You could have those highway signs say like Goomba Plains 3 miles, and it would make that hypothetical checklist more organized. If you were let down by free roam or the open world aspect in general, I would recommend giving it another shot with a different angle. This time, just take in your surroundings. Go find a handful of missions to play around with. You might be surprised how creative they can get. Maybe you can even get some buddies together, because there is a big, beautiful world you could be living in.
There we go, everyone on the boat. Yeah, everyone on the boat. Don't try running from me now, bitch. I'm a UFO.
Alright, I want to see what Blue Shy Guy's up to. Alright, slowly but surely he's heading to Barnes & Noble. I'll wait for him to get back. Oh, Toad, that's not your car. What? Wait. That's not your car. Stop, that's not your car.
Jalik Tormos! Tormos tam taka pedalka!